biggest fear was because we grew up in Tornado Alley, so
Yeah.
ours was always tornadoes. At least with hurricanes, you get at least a few days in advance to evacuate or whatever. Tornado, like even in like middle school or grade school, they'd be like tornado drill. They would like run us all into the hallway, and we'd grab like the thickest book we had, and we'd like kneel down and put the book on the back of your head to protect your neck.
Yeah.
So I mean, that can only do so much.
In Milwaukee, we did that. Like, we did tornado drills, but we never really, like, I remember a couple times that there was a tornado, like a threat. But when I lived in Dallas, we lived in Dallas in
All
2015,
the
there
time.
was tornado threats all the time. Like, you were really scared. Like, oh
Yeah.
my gosh, there's a tornado tearing the town up 2 downs down. And
Mm-hmm.
so, I feel blessed that I've had the opportunity to live in the Midwest. As much as I hate the snow, the Midwest is not so bad.
And basements.
And basements. You don't realize how much you love basements until you got a house that doesn't have one.
Yeah, because you live. Yeah, you lived in Dallas, right?
Yeah, I had a house in Dallas,
Yeah.
and it was.
We don't have basements.
Yeah. But
Jump
Brit,
in.
how you doing? How you holding up with this everything that's going on? I don't know where we should start with Chadwick or Kenosha or life. Like, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm okay. I can't even think about that shit. Adulting is exhausting my soul right now, so I'm like on autopilot. I was like dealing with a terrible headache earlier, so I took something. That's why I didn't know if I was gonna be on here or when I was gonna get on, because I'm like, did I take? I tend to overdo it when it comes to pills. Like, oh, you should probably take 2. I'll take 3.
Yeah.
Maybe 4, so but so I'm fine. Is to keep my sanity, I've got to like put in pockets of what I can give my energy to. So it's a lot of processing. I think for me, I said what I needed to say about Chad Boseman. I made a post, and it was well with my soul for making my post. And it's never easy, but we just have to just move forward. I mean, I've said it a bazillion times. 2020 is a bald head hoe, and there's just no way around it. Just more like no edges at all. Just dead ass. Like use
In
too
the
much
kitchen.
dye. Did not like. Got the pack, got the color pack from probably Dollar Tree or something. It's like for real, just a bald head hoe. So you just at this point you can just freeze me and thaw me out in 2023, and we'll see what happens there.
Well, at least you got the Brandy versus Michael battle, because I know you was a totally different breed that night.
Well,
we had to be.
You had to. Thank you, Billy. You had to be, and aside from me giving a whole performance for my own self in my house for almost every track, and reacting in real time, and then I was like, "Oh fuck it, I'm just gonna go live," and I did not know so many people was gonna be like joining or viewing at the end. I was like, why did that thing get 1,000 views and it just keeps going up? And I'm like, what I had to say was not even that important. Like, why are y'all not doing something else with y'all lives? Like, why are y'all following this right now? So, I mean, it's a thing that we need with all the stuff that happens in our daily lives and the stuff that indirectly affects us. Why not throw a damn versus battle in there to distract us for just a little bit, to have us, reminiscing. That thing got 1.2 million views, Black
blows my
women.
mind. Well,
Black
you know
women.
what? I can't get over this. Like, first of all, they deserve it. Like, but when you think about the top versus battles, Jill and Erica, Brandy and Monica completely on another level.
Yeah.
But Snoop and DMX, who are considered like, I would consider Snoop more famous than Brandy and Monica, and their verses didn't even come within 800,000. That just blows my mind that no rapper, no hip hop artist, and they've had A-listers, didn't even touch the 2 female verses, and that makes me proud. But it also makes me question, like, the kind of like, are they not getting the respect that they deserve? If Snoop Dogg and DMX are so elevated, which they like, I think they're great hip hop artists, but are Brandy and Monica not getting the respect that they deserve? Because I mean, the numbers don't lie.
I
But I
mean,
think,
they're your favorite's favorite. So
but I think also another part, like I hate to say it, is that the public kind of played them against each other. So I think people might have kind of been tuning in to see if anything like
There was some drama, drama
drama
element
that
to it.
came with it.
There definitely was some of that, but you're talking about 1.2 million people just on IG.
So I think that, the most interesting about hip hop the last 25 years is people's crossover appeal, right? I think, we're talking about, there are certain songs about that DMX plays that you're probably tired of hearing it because you used to hear him at the white clubs. Like, if you didn't hear "Y'all Gonna Make Me Lose My Mind," it was like you'll actually like this song, but you're tired of it because you hear it at everything now, right? It's same thing with Snoop Dogg. His crossover appeal, it's great. Like what Monty Jones says all the time. If somebody told him in 1995 that Snoop Dogg was just gonna be this global icon and people like, it's kind of like Mike Tyson, that you don't fear him like that. You're like, you out your damn mind, Snoop Dogg. It's just one of those things that kind of click. I think with Brandy and Monica, they have an attraction to themselves because we're watching two people that's been in the spotlight since they were teenagers. Number
Hold
one,
on. Wait. You're right. We're both, you and Sarah are right, but listen to this. I don't think that they're getting the respect. Like
As an
1.2
artist,
million views.
Yeah.
1.2 million. That's unheard of. And then Jill Scott and Erica 800,000, like just on IG. And then you're talking about Snoop and DMX 400,000. These women doubled them, but we all know Snoop. We all know X. Like, why don't we put them on the same pedestal? Or maybe it's just me. Maybe I don't.
I have to. Well, I'll chime in and say I don't think that you have to. There have to be mutually exclusive. I don't think anyone who's a hip hop head is diminishes if they love R&B or whatever, or remember that, what that is to them. Brandy just put out an album, and she hadn't put out an album in 8 years. 8 years, you know what I'm saying? Like, but you can't forget the nostalgia when you hear certain songs. Like, I made my screenshot. I wrote her DMs. I said, sis, please play Angel in Disguise. It was not a single, but it's literally my favorite song. And I'm not the only one. That girl played it, and I cried in this house. And you think I didn't play that song a bazillion times? You think I didn't play it right after it was done?
I had that CD. I remember when it came out.
Never Say Never is a classic. Just like The Writings on the Wall with Destiny Child, like they're just like The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill, just like Baduism. Like you had, like there are albums that's like these are masterpieces and they're timeless. They didn't have to put if they don't put another album out for 10 years, the numbers don't lie. That's the respect right there. They didn't have to be. They don't have to keep. They don't have to be relevant for nobody, and the numbers was still there. Your favorite's favorite was in that building. Everybody was in the building for that. And they all got the same notifications and the same flyers and everything, just like all the other press. And they showed up on a Monday night, whether they wanted to see the awkwardness. And can you imagine not talking to somebody or being interacting with somebody for 8-9 years? And then even though as much as the world wants it, if I ain't talked to you in 3 years, Billy, and as much as I love to see you, like you wonder if there's some sort of anxiety, like, are we as close as we used to be and all that? You got all these things in your head, and 1.2 million people are watching this unfold. We're already awkward because we're just humans. Right. We're beings and trying to figure it out. Now I have to figure out as if the scrutiny from the outside world, and of course, everybody on social media hyping this thing up, bringing the shoes versus the braided lace front and all kind of other stuff, and just, you know what I'm saying? Like we feed into that, right? But they're human, aside from being artists and being in the spotlight. On top of that, they done gone through so much stuff that if you really listen to their music, you can hear them. You can hear what they was going through. You can hear women out here, Black women trying to overcome and stuff like that. So I feel like they got their respect because the numbers literally didn't lie. No matter who you was, if you was Team Brandy or Team Monica for whatever reason, and the slander is gonna always come. But everybody stayed, even when they had their little break and lost like a few 100,000. Those numbers went right back up. Are we back? They didn't miss a beat. That's the most consistent versus battle for numbers that I have seen. And I've watched almost all of them. I think I missed like 2. So
easy. No, it was
easy.
a great version. And when I say respect, I mean, I guess I just want them to be. I want them to be. First of all, you know, I'm a Brandy. Brandy was one of my. You talking about 2 crushes growing up? Ashley Banks and Moesha. Like period. Like so, I'm riding with Brandy no matter what. But I've always wanted Brandy to be like a Beyonce. Like, why is she not there? And I guess she is for the culture. She's definitely there for the culture. But I want like she's not in the same realm of a Whitney Houston or a Beyonce. And why not? Why does she not get that respect?
So okay, I think,
and maybe I can't use the queen. I can't use Beyonce, but like everybody else under B.
So I think where your logic is lying is upon the expectation of where social media is when it's surrounded by a lot of people who don't know. It's kind of like if you talk to people who know what's up, you'll come to realize, oh, it's a lot. Like it's like social media is like going to an 18 and up club. And we forget that you'll know really what's going on when you go to a 25 and up club. You be like, oh man, I relate to these people a lot more. And I think because social media, we just assume that everybody forgot about Brandy. No, if we talking to a bunch of Brits and we talking to a bunch of Sarahs and a bunch of yous and me's like, yo, no, Brandy, if I see Brandy right now, if she had a concert live, I'll go, you know what I'm saying? And I think that it's just more of like a surroundings thing. Now, when it comes to where she could or should be, I think that it's weird. A Beyonce has been able to have a career, and even through some of her tough times, she's been resilient to continue and still be in that spotlight and still perform and do well.
Beyonce's just another level.
Yeah, but also with Brandy and even Monica, I think we have this weird expectation when people go through certain things in their life, we expect them to continue moving forward. And I think I'm glad to see Brandy in 2020 in a good place than her forcing herself to do things in 2018. You know, 2010. And I think we tend to forget that sometimes where we think people fall off. No. And it was weird is when they come out and they still have great timeless music. Where the hell you been? It's like, because I went through things and I wasn't in a place to do what I'm doing right now, you know? And I think
that's crazy for me. And I'm interested to see who the ladies thought won. But for me, when I first heard the verses, my first thought was like, why is this like, how can Monica go against Brandy? Like, Brandy's catalog to me was just it reminded me of like Rick Ross versus Gucci or not Gucci, Rick Ross versus 2 Chainz. Like it was just Monica cool, but you talking about Brandy like. But I think I put Brandy's whole catalog. Like I'm thinking about Brandy's whole. I think about Cinderella. I think about Moesha. I think about her music catalog.
Okay, so.
Someone Monica had them hits though.
Yes, she did.
We can't negate that. Don't trip. I'm Team Brandy, but Monica had them hits.
Yeah.
She had them hits.
So who do you think won, Brett?
I told y'all I'm Team Brandy.
but I know
I said what I said.
I heard you say you was Team Brandy, but I didn't know if that meant like.
But I held on with Sis's shady ass for the whole thing. And I definitely, and Ramone, you was in my life, commented on every shady moment. I said, sis, that wasn't necessary. That was very unnecessary. Okay, that was really unnecessary. But guess who's still riding with you? That one cousin that's just like, man, that you can only deal with her 3 times a year, maybe 4. I love you nevertheless. I'm going to ride for you. But that was I thought you was progressing. And I just,
So I think, well, obviously, I think a lot of people feel like Brandy won.
Ramone,
Brandy's a vocalist. She's a vocalist.
Sarah, who did you give it to?
I like Brandy. I've always been a Brandy girl. I didn't watch the whole thing because I was working, so I was just kind of like in and out. But yeah, I've always been Brandy.
I think that well, obviously, I think everyone will Brandy, but somebody did mention Monica was playing her best songs while Brandy was playing her B-sides. You know what I'm saying? Like the first 10. Like you heard some Monica songs, like, oh my God, I really like that song. Those were some hits. And I think what you can see kind of the shift change where maybe the last 10, you forget like, oh snap, Brandy still got more, you know, and it was kind of like, it reminded me of like when Timbaland and Swizz Beatz, when they first did all this, right? Swizz Beatz was hitting songs that was like deep in the albums, trying to do like, yeah, man, this is a song that, and then Timbaland was like, I'm hitting you song after song after. It was just crazy. So you still have an appreciation for what Monica had because you remember listening to an album, you in your room, you 17 years old, and she have this song that you like this person, or you feel a little heartbroken to get older and you're in college. Like Monica had those songs, but you forget like when Brandy played was the Moon
Full Moon.
Full Moon. I don't know why I thought it was like something else, but yeah, Full Moon. It was like, oh yeah, and she played that later, or even the song she did. My favorite song she did with Kanye West. You know what I mean?
What? Talk About Our Love.
Yeah, yeah, and I kept posting. I put it on Twitter. I was like, please play that song. Please play that song. That I was like,
and we can't. And Kanye's verse is just everything. Like,
yeah,
I went to full rapper mode. Like,
I'm gonna tell you guys right now.
I wish she played Bring Me Down.
Oh my God, that's what I was thinking about too.
What?
Off of Kanye West's album, I think College Dropout.
That was featuring Brandy.
Oh, right.
Never Break Me Down.
They try to bring me down like that. Oh my God, I love that song.
I'm gonna tell you this right now. I don't think that there's anybody who's beating Kanye West in a versus. Period.
He got to play. He got to battle himself.
It will be either. It's got to be Jigga. It's either it's West and Jigga, and Jigga will have a tough time. And Jigga's the greatest to me.
And Jigga, that means that look at the thing about it is what they're gonna have to debate is Jigga have to look at Kanye West like, look, I got to play a song you produced for me. You know what I mean? Like it's like it's because Justin and Billy, I know all y'all feel a certain way. I'm not sophisticated and savvy enough to love and appreciate Jay-Z like y'all do. I'd rather be trash and be like, well, you don't understand what Jay-Z's saying. No, I've been trying. Fam, you know what happened last year when Jay-Z had his catalog on Spotify? The last few months of the when I had like DJ events, I was listening to I went through all Jay-Z's albums in order, and then when the beginning of the year came out, remember that how they had the top artists you played? Jay-Z was like, I was like top 5% of Jay-Z's fans. That's how much, and because I was like, let me see if I'm tripping. It's kind of like how people love the Undertaker. Like I'm like, let me see if I'm tripping. And then you come to realize, no, I was right. This ain't it. I'm like that with look at the three people. I'm like that: Jay-Z, Lil Wayne, Undertaker. Those are three guys. I'm like everybody like, oh my God. And I'm like,
you just said 2 of the 5 best rappers of all time.
To who?
You said Jay-Z and Lil Wayne.
Yes,
those are 2 of the top 5 best rappers of all time, easily.
Like candy rappers, like,
no.
like.
Come on, man.
Look,
yeah. What do have to deal with?
You said
condom rappers, fam. Like
Jay-Z and Lil Wayne are 2 of the rappers. Listen, and in they're at the minimum, and this is because of Wayne. They're at the minimum. They're 2 of the top 10 at the minimum. But I think most people 2 of top 5 easily.
Probably, but like I said, I'm not sophisticated enough, and that's okay. I'd rather somebody look at me.
You listen to 444?
Somebody just looking at me like just disgusted with me, like how you don't like them. It's like, yes, you're right, Montre. I don't hate Jay-Z. I think put it like this. You know, I can tell you in detail what my age. I'll move away from Jay-Z because I don't feel like going knee deep talking about it. But going through all his albums less than 6 months, about 6 months ago, in order, I think what people fail to realize is he has longevity. It's a lot of albums. He has a lot that he said that he provided a sophistication that you appreciated out of a rapper because you knew that, okay, if he can do anything, he can do if he wanted to. But my whole thing is this: Jay-Z has some albums and some songs that y'all really rock with, and fam was lazy to me on it. He was kind of like he was there for presence more than he was actually good rapping on the song.
Top 3 rappers. You name your top 3 rappers without mentioning Pac and Biggie. Top 3 rappers without mentioning Pac and Biggie.
Oh, the rappers that I would go out the way for, and I really don't have a top 5 like that, but I can say like at certain times, I give you four. Four, like I just have appreciation for.
Yep, give them to me.
DMX, Jeezy, Ludacris, Kanye.
Okay, first of all, Luda's a killer, but not better than Jigga. Period. And then who else you said? Jeezy?
Yeah. But
not better than not. You know what's crazy? All those rappers, their favorite rapper is Jay-Z.
Yeah, and they can get a cookie because of that. But in the same, you know what? It reminds me of I think today, like I'm going sports real quick. So people love LeBron James and it's obsession with LeBron James. And it's kind of like if you say you like anyone else, no, because you don't like LeBron James. But what I appreciate when Jordan was in the league, yeah, we all can agree Jordan was that dude, but people were allowed to like other guys. You wasn't being shitted on saying, man, I really like Dominique Wilkins. Oh, I really like Isaiah Thomas. People say, man, Jordan's the best, but you wasn't getting shitted on because of it.
You're right. But you can like Jeezy all you want, but you got to realize who Michael Jordan is. Yes. So you realize Michael Jordan's name is Sean Combs, right?
I understand that, but I would like to say that I'm not, and the only reason I say I'm not a big Jay-Z fan is because I'm not, but I'm not saying that to spite Jay-Z. Matter of fact, I feel like it's a free country and I have the right to have free speech. And if I like other rappers, not Jay-Z, you should let me be free. Anyway, so
I know you're gonna get off the verses, but just to throw this out there, I hear Ashanti and Keisha Cole might be going at it next.
Okay, look, Keisha Cole is gonna touch souls that I don't think Ashanti can. And so, am I wrong?
Even in the same.
Why is that happening?
Yeah,
they're not in the same.
You know what it is? I think it's gonna be like a Ludacris Nelly situation. To me, that's almost Ludacris Nelly. Why Ludacris was able to have, I got hit songs, I have songs that's deep, and I have like deep songs, and me showing them my rap ability. Even Nelly's most hip hop songs, he was still, you know who it is, it's Nelly. It was kind of like, and everybody's like, Nelly, I don't know. And I think that's what's gonna happen with Ashanti and Keisha Cole. Look, I don't really care. I'm not really invested. But Ashanti's gonna have these hits. But Keisha Cole has songs on her album that my sisters used to listen to, and I was like,
they're gonna have to pull from features. They don't have 20 by themselves.
I was gonna say I didn't think that they had 20 hits.
Absolutely not. I'm gonna watch it though, because for the culture.
All right, so I heard I think who was it? Van Lathan. He said, "What happened if it's like Mariah Carey and Mary J. Blige?"
That's not. No.
First of all, I'm gonna just throw this out there. It's a why, but IG couldn't even control that bandwidth. I'm gonna tell you right. You think IG couldn't control Brandy and Monica bandwidth? I think Mariah and Mary. What? That's too much.
I just need somebody to go up against Missy, and we be good. I just need someone to go up against Missy.
Missy should just go up there by herself. Like I love Missy so much.
As a matter of fact, don't even do a verse. Just let it be a special edition.
Missy
And just run your whole catalog.
Missy versus Missy.
They should do Missy and Timberland in the studio doing a song, just like on the fly. Like, hey y'all, we're gonna play some songs, and then Timberland's gonna work on the beat. And while he working on the beat, I'm a freestyle for y'all. Like that's the type of shit. That. I don't want.
I've been getting in arguments about this, and this is something that everybody can chime in on. I don't think it's close, but I think I get it. People are saying R. Kelly versus Michael Jackson. Now, Michael Jackson's in the grave. We all know that. But do you feel like that? Too. Huh?
He's in the grave too.
But R. Kelly versus Michael Jackson, who would you give it to? For me, I want to see what y'all. Who would you give it to? R. Kelly, Michael Jackson.
Oh,
I would say R. Kelly, but only because I'm not a real. I don't know. Don't judge me. I'm not a huge Michael Jackson fan. I only like a handful of his songs, and that's it.
Listen, I can name 11 Michael.
Don't judge me that I'm actually with this woman. Just please don't.
It's more that one of my exes killed Michael Jackson for me. So every time I hear Michael Jackson, I equate him with him. So it's like
nobody's beating Thriller. Nobody on earth is beating Thriller. So that's a guaranteed win. Then you got Billie Jean, Smooth Criminal, Man in the Mirror. There's songs that Michael's got that nobody's touching.
But now we're pulling out just the regular ones. My favorite Michael Jackson song is Stranger in Moscow. People don't even understand how hard that song goes. It's so smooth and it goes hard, or just Another Part of Me, Dirty Diana.
Dirty Diana is my favorite song.
I mean, leave me
I prefer
alone.
the
Like
weekends
there's
double
just
D.
like keep it in the closet. What you say, Sarah?
I said I prefer the weekends DD. That's my future husband.
I can see that. I can see that. Like
Like I
I don't
said,
have I don't
don't
have an
judge
answer
me.
for this because I don't have an answer for this one.
This is tough for you, Brittany?
I don't have an answer for this one. So I'm gonna just because what's name can ride in hell for all I care. Truthfully, in the jail cell in hell.
That's the right one.
Kelly got them like
It sucks because like so many of his songs are like engraved in so many different like aspects of people's lives and everything, and
I
then to
know.
like toss it
I hate
out
that
like
they did.
nothing, it's like it's so hard. But I mean, you just have to.
Well, see, what's interesting is I think that, unfortunately, I guess my frustration is I was just talking about even with COVID, we're gonna have to wait 20 years until you hear a lot of bullshit that happened in 2020, and I feel like unfortunately, because R. Kelly wasn't held accountable in the first 5 years of his career, he was allowed to have 25 years of a career and all these horrible stories at the same damn time,
Well,
right?
come on, man.
And I think
We
that
all knew. We knew. Like, I don't. This is one thing that I'm just gonna speak for myself. We all knew R. Kelly was on BS. We all knew that. Like, there was not a moment in your life, in your from teenage to now, that you ever was like, not a little questionable about R. Kelly. Like, we all knew it. It was. I think it was recent years that we were like, okay, we're not gonna accept it. But I think everybody kind of knew, like in 2005, 2006, that R. Kelly he wasn't a great guy.
that's why I blame my parents and the parents and all the other grown folks. No, I really do, because think about this. Everything that's going on now, people always talk about the younger generation and the millennials, but we forget we're getting documentaries about we were literally, I was born in 86. R. Kelly really hit the scene and was doing this thing when I was between 10 and 15 and in my teens. Like me trying to comprehend what exactly was going on. We're talking about grown ass people. If you talk about Bill Cosby or James Brown or R. Kelly, all these stories, Richard Pryor, all these different things were happening when our parents, their peers, all these things were going on, and they were able to slide for a long time. I think by the time it got to us and we become conscious, and you say society has changed when it comes to, okay, this is wrong, this is straight up wrong. This is when we was like, okay, get him out the paint. But for a long time, we forget we was probably 14 years old. I'm guessing 15 when the sex tape came out. You grown folks talk about that shit. They were selling that shit bootleg at the barbershop. You know what I'm saying? That wasn't us.
Show. It was on the Boondocks.
Yeah, yeah. And so for us,
I mean, even what's name made a parody of it, or Dave Chappelle.
Yeah.
Everybody remember that song he came up with on the Chappelle stuff. Like we all been there. You know what I'm saying? Like it's embedded in us, and we are here for the music. And think about it. If you're not holding your people accountable on a celebrity level or whatever, but there's people in your own life that you don't hold accountable, that people are not holding you accountable to. For the work that I do with young people, for the work that I do with girls and women, you know what I'm saying, for all that stuff to just be like, and you find out those things, saying until you've lived that life and you had to sit and make a statement for a young person who's been like missing for weeks and finding out there's trains ran on them and all kind of other things, like until that stuff hits you in a different place, like, yeah, I probably could listen bump blast as much R. Kelly if I want to in my house, in my safe space, and ain't nobody gonna judge me because I pay this rent. However, for what I do know, you know what I'm saying, like that's my own personal conviction. If I want to go up here and continue to, um, give him the spins, or give him the play on my phone or my computer. And there's plenty of people who still blast R. Kelly. You know what I'm saying? Like they don't care. In their mind is like, that's up here and I'm over here, and I can separate the two. And I'm and that's, everyone is different. So I try to steer clear of like too many in-depth conversations about this, because it's just different for different people. You know what I'm saying? Like it just hits us a different way. And once you know some sort of truth, you can't act like you just never heard it before. You know what I'm saying? Like even if whoever was working that hard whoever's working that hard to keep up a lie or fabrication, or keep a ruse or something going on, that means they were working that hard to uphold harm upon another person. We're choosing who we want to heal. Us as artists should be artists of conviction. You know what I'm saying? Like I can and I have written about any and everything. If I wanted to go out here and whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like who gonna check me? But I have to also remember that I'm an artist of integrity. I have to also remember that, you know what I'm saying, I'm a woman of influence. Um and that, you know, it's important that we realize that as artists, we're also healers. Is it our job to heal everybody? No. But if I'm just picking and choosing who I want to be for, who I want to stand for, I'm sorry, sis, that happened to you, but I gotta blast this song because it just does something to me. Yeah. You know, like it's there's so many layers, and I'm just gonna stop talking because it's that conversation in regards to those, like, I'm probably not gonna be on R. Kelly's level, but there are R. Kellys in our own lives and in the leadership in our own cities, the people that we've labored amongst, and I've seen and witnessed people stand by them, meaning like make excuses for them. We get mad when excuses are made for a white person, you know, saying like going to shoot people, saying like, oh, but they have a future ahead of them, and then we use those same words and be like, oh, but he's done so much for the community. So I have one response to both of those things: miss me with that bullshit. Because that makes our jobs that much harder, you know, and it's just hard to see the silver lining in that.
So I'm not emotionally, for me, and look, I think what people have to come to terms with once again is everyone has that artist that I can't say give a pass to. They just kind of, you know, if you're a James Brown fan, you know everything about James Brown and what has happened, you'd be like, everybody's made an exception to who, you know what I'm saying? You know, and I think with for me, I was never emotionally involved with even artists in general to be like, man, R. Kelly music was so good. How can I not play it? And I'm a DJ. Like, trust me, people love, like, fam, you know how parties can go up if I played R. Kelly, but I'm like, I can choose other things to play. Like, I guess it doesn't bother me. I'm not emotionally invested to feel like I'm missing something. Like, it was a really good song, but I guess I have to move on without it if the energy and the vibe is saying, hey, especially on streaming, let's make sure we don't support this person by doing this. Like, I'm not super like kicking the door, but I'm not going to sit here. I just feel like, look, I'm not emotionally invested where I feel like I'm missing out on something or, you know, this, because you know, you can have all the memories of R. Kelly, Family's Barbecue if you was in a relationship or if you lost your virginity, but you just got to move on from that sometimes. Like, you just like,
I lost your virginity.
You know what I'm saying? So,
okay.
I will, before I close on this part, one thing I will say that the Michael Jackson thing that have always kind of frustrated me was it was hard for me to know that a lot of people, and like I said, as you get older, it's more of a nuance. You know, he died the summer of 2009. This is Summerfest going on, right?
Wow,
yeah.
2009. Wow.
Yeah, I believe 2009, because I remember I was working at Summerfest, and after I got off, you know, I was watching news, and I was at my homeboy TR or Theo's house. Theo Badger, shout out to you, what's up? Yeah, I remember being and that happened, but I was frustrated for a long time because I was like, look, we've watched somebody slowly but surely fall apart for 40 years. And it was just kind of like, I can't say we allowed that to happen, but it was just kind of like we seen it happen before our eyes. And I guess it was so frustrating knowing like, yeah, he probably did have a lot of people try to help him or figure out what he was going through. And, you know, when people have power and money and, you know, you have a lot of people that are telling you, you always great. It's kind of like you talk about young basketball players and they've never been told no when it comes to being great. And then they have to become a bench player. I'm not saying that's Michael Jackson, but I'm saying like to know that we've slowly watched this man just deteriorate for 40 years always bugged me. You know what I'm saying? Until he died. Because you find out more and more about the things he was going through, and you always wonder, like, we all have friends and people we come across that we see them just fall apart, and we see them just until untimely deaths or deaths, you know, they were spending life on they was playing life on house money, like they thought they were going to die a long time ago, and it's still like we all understand that. I guess that was one of the things that was really frustrating with me and how everything evolved around Michael Jackson. It wasn't just because we seen a dark-skinned kid with an afro and a big nose to go from somebody, it was more like it was so much. And I think that, that was tough to deal with. This wasn't a Muhammad Ali situation where, he was the greatest you ever seen in the sport and all this, the sacrifice, and all of a sudden he ended with a disease where the most powerful thing he had, he didn't have anymore. His presence was still powerful, but he couldn't speak the way he wanted to. He was dead. I think that was the hardest thing for me to kind of come to terms with. And I'm not, like I said, I've learned over time not to be, emotionally invested in so many things, because we've all learned the hard way. There are a lot of things that we found so important. You might have to detach yourself from when real shit comes up about it. You know what I'm saying? You can still love Bill Cosby because what he meant to having the Cosby Show and what was his mission. But in the same breath, if you have to be like, oh, man, thank you, Bill, but I'm not going to sit here and think that your contributions and you should get a hall pass because of all the fucked up shit that was going on. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, so all right, it is September 2nd, 2020.
We made it to Jumanji level 9, they say.
So Billy, you just recently made a move to Michigan.
Yes, sir.
How has that move been for you and your family and your kids?
Man, it's been good, man. Michigan is beautiful. I got to tell you, it's one of the most beautiful states in the I think it's the most beautiful state in the Midwest. It's a lot of outdoorsiness to it. So we're always outside enjoying life to the best that we know how. And it's been a blessing. The neighbors have been nice. It's really friendly in this area. It's quiet in our neighborhood, so that's nice. It's a little different than my neighborhood in Chicago, so it's a lot quieter. And so far I don't have buyer's remorse. Ask me that again in January.
I have not been up there during the wintertime. I refuse to go up there.
She ain't ready. She's not ready, man.
The latest I've been is September, right? I think, yeah, for Val's wedding.
September is still pretty nice, and then October will be beautiful here because there's a lot of tall trees. But once that snow hits, and not even the snow, once the cold comes, that's when you see a city that's been shut down, not even because of snow, you see a city get shut down because it's too cold to go outside. That's a different level of frustration.
She's not ready for the idea that I'm about to go outside real quick. All right, you got to put on like 135 socks, 3 boots, your gloves, because like there's nothing. Bitter cold is a different breed. Don't get me wrong. Super hot is a different breed too.
Yeah, you can only take
bitter cold, like I tell people, I tell Sarah, like, look, I'm the oldest, and growing up when your mama didn't have a vehicle, you got to push your sibling through the snow in a stroller, a cheap stroller too, because people was broke, carrying groceries because you big and strong, and you waiting for the bus in bitter cold. Nah, no, it's just
I know August and September and June are like. That's hot in Dallas. Is it that hot in August too? I mean, in Houston too?
Houston
Dallas is different because my hometown's 3 hours west of Dallas. Dallas is a little bit more humid than my hometown, but it's nowhere near compared to Houston.
Really?
The humidity here and in South Texas is ridiculous. Like where I grew up, my hair looks like trash right now, but on a given day growing up, my hair had just a little bit of a wave to it. And so when I moved down to what I like to call North Mexico, because it's literally the tip of Mexico, when I moved down there, it's so humid. It's so hot and humid that my hair curled. I had never seen my hair curl like that. Wow. And the same thing here too. It's way hotter and humid than it is up in Dallas.
Is August unbearable? Or June unbearable?
No, June and July, it's hot. Trash. August is the worst. August is the hottest month, I think. We've been under a heat advisory the last couple of days. It's pretty bad when the city has to open up like cooling centers.
Wow.
So those who don't have AC at home or who, are unfortunately homeless, they have to find somewhere cool.
So you prefer that over the cold?
Do what?
You prefer that over the cold?
She haven't hit cold yet.
I haven't felt
She
that
don't know what
cold
cold
yet.
is. She don't know what,
I know
like, you
heat.
go outside, it's
At
cold
least
and it's not sunny out, and then you go
at least
home and it's
heat.
cold,
I
not
can
sunny out.
come inside. I have AC. I'm good. This man, on the other hand, like my car, the AC went out of my car a few years ago. Like I went 2 weeks without AC, and the only reason I went without AC is because I was needing to get paid because my credit cards were mags, and I was like, otherwise I would have fixed it the next day. Him, since I have met him, and I don't even know how long it was before then, has never had AC in his truck.
What?
And I kept telling him, go get it checked. And I'm like,
So how in the world can you live in Houston without AC in your truck? Do you just not go anywhere?
No,
he's
you
on
ever
crack.
you ever had all your windows down and just listen to nature as you go? You know what I'm saying?
What is that?
Listen to traffic as you drive with headphones on. No, I don't know, man. I ain't gonna. You know what's weird? I ain't gonna lie to you, I have no real excuse to why. I'm not even gonna try to make one up. But I
It's
think
too hot.
I
People
tried a few
die of
times.
heat exhaustion down here.
Yeah, but
Heat stroke is real.
I know, but your boy didn't. So I'm still here. You know what I'm saying? But I will say that. Okay, so when I got my truck, a few times I was trying to figure out the air condition system. My homeboy Trey was helping me out. We was doing the what's the frost stuff, the can,
The
and putting
Freon.
the Freon, and we was like, all right, it's a hole that it keeps leaking, and then I went to so long, that I just didn't. And then she's like, go check it. And then actually I went to this one place and they was almost like, I heard somebody tell somebody else almost $1,000. And I was like, look that. So I guess because it was a 2002, I guess in my mind, I thought that as everything goes smooth, look, I know rolling the car, I know this is weird thinking. I wasn't trying to invest too much money in this vehicle. And I was like, until I get something new. Like sometimes you don't want, everybody's done that, and so, but I had it for like 6 years,
Not
7
me.
years.
I will not
So,
do without AC or internet. Everything else, I don't care.
but times have changed for you boys, so it's all good.
Well, you better than me because I definitely would have got that AC first thing.
Yeah, but even for her AC, luckily we had a little something because it cost her $500 to get that fixed.
And I gladly paid those $500.
We gladly pay. I just like to, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I ain't shit, but I ain't shit, you know what I'm saying? So we paid $500 to get that fixed. No, but
This was 2 years ago. You remember that?
Hey man, look, hey, I have to survive out here. There's a war on men not spending enough money on dates.
Really?
I gotta forgo half on bills. Look, hey, but we here, you know what I'm saying? We try. No, but so
I'm telling you right now, it's tough to be a woman nowadays. It's tough to be a man nowadays, especially if you're single. If you're
I
single,
would not want to be single right now.
God bless you. It's tough. It's tough. And in a pandemic, that's got to be tough.
Being in a relationship in a pandemic can be tough. I'm just kidding.
Well, it's actually funny we talk about it because I know a lot of people had this expectation where people thought it was gonna be babies all over the place. Look, I ain't worried because I'd be good, you know what I'm saying? But anyway, so no, but I think what's interesting is a lot of people assumed there was gonna be like all these babies born during quarantine, all these different things. And what ended up happening was I think COVID in so many different ways. Okay, because I was gonna ask this. What 2020 has done to a lot of us, even when you're young, it has put us in a position that even people our age had to deal with our own immortality in different ways, right? Because for us, we still have things to look forward to, but in the same breath, it's kind of like we start reflecting on what's next for us. What's our next steps? What are we going to do with our lives? Am I satisfied in the career I have? Does this relationship benefit me? Is this an asset, a part of my life? It's not bringing me down. Where am I mentally and emotionally? You learn that people are way shittier than you thought in the process, especially when you mix COVID, people being in the house and their opinions of that, and you look at every piece of racial, every piece of civil justice and rights where people have opinions where it's not even nuance, it's anger, I just want to say this because I want to say it. And if you learn even people that you probably feel like they probably had thoughts on certain things, but the way they go hard on those things. And I think that that's what COVID did for a lot of us, right? And even for me, just thinking about like, this year losing, we've people, losing family, auntie and uncle, and you start, even though they were older, but even me, my birthday's in 2 weeks. I'd be 34. I'd be 34. That is trash. But anyway, I'd be 34 in 2
Hey,
weeks.
you're blessed. That's a blessing.
Oh yeah, don't get me wrong, man. Like I tell people all the time, I did not think I was gonna make it out of Milwaukee, or I didn't think I was gonna make it to 18. And people always assume when I say that, oh, you must have been living a certain life. It doesn't matter. I know my next door neighbors, my surroundings, the type of shit they were doing. It's the fact that when you grow up and you see movies like Boys in the Hood, you just think that you gotta be in the streets. No, Ricky was the person. Even if the OGs protected the young dudes, don't live this life, don't do this because you have a future. Unfortunately, the streets didn't care who it is. You could be an innocent bystander in that situation. You can be trying to move forward, and it's like that's what I said before. Moving to Madison changed everything for me, and things can happen anywhere. But for me to make it to 34, and for all of us to make it to a certain point, and you start reflecting on moments where it could have been life altering or a decision you made. Like I almost didn't go to Parkside. I don't know what my life would have been if I didn't go to UW Parkside, and I went to Indiana State, or I went to Indianapolis, or I came down to Houston in '05 with my mom, like, or I just went to Florida somewhere, Florida A&M or something like that. Like these different things that you reflect on. And so this year really it put everything at its bare bones in every way when it comes to politics, the way we view sports, the way we live life, the way we view our careers, our lives, our loved ones. People I think now are mental health and wellness. Like people are like, yo, nah, fuck all the shit I was doing before. I really got to figure this thing out. And yet, like I remember Britt, when we first started talking, you was talking about how important it was to go out there and do happy hour and sing karaoke, right? And so because that was taken away from you, you've had to find other ways to kind of maybe replace it a little bit. Like you learn, I think it's about being resilient and reevaluating. Being in a house with Sarah, there are things that she want to do for me, it's like, look, I appreciate the fact that we live in a place where we have a lot of space to move around. We both have we have working vehicles. She's able to work and make money. And if we're not going to go hungry at night, like these different things that other people are not dealing with. We are not in a very tense relationship where it might be physical or emotional. Like there are other people, or we're not living on top of each other. Like people probably live in New York where you're living with 7 other people, but you can't go outside, right? These are different things that you can appreciate and view differently. But you kind of look at yourself and say, okay, just because my life ain't shitty like this next person, this is still not good enough, and I should be doing better. So I know we're month 9 in. So what is so far, like I'll start with Britt. What is your biggest takeaway that you learned about yourself so far?
In this year?
Yes.
That I have a constant habit of doing the most or doing too much. And the pandemic told me to sit my ass down. That was hard. And now I'm back in month 9. I'm about to be back to 3 jobs, which I had 3 jobs prior because I don't know how to sit down. Because I get very antsy, but the things I do, I love them. So it's not every job I have, I'm a creative in it, and and I work with my young people. So I my passions, my purpose is all tied into the things that I do. And so in my mind, even though I'm tired, I mean, I could be tired doing nothing or tired from a job that I hate. And so I would rather be exhausted from, giving my best self and something that I actually truly, love and believe in. And so it doesn't feel like work all the time. But I think also this year has shown me to just, as much as I offer myself up as a village member to others, like if you need me, I got you, or, that kind of stuff. I have to be more trusting of my village. And in that pandemic and really caused me to be very vulnerable. And it really showed me like another layer of love from my community, from my village, like just out of nowhere, random cash apps, or let me do this for you, or something like that, or as I was like battling with unemployment, like, hey, hadn't had a real check since April 15th. What's up? Like, still got bills. And that's very hard for me because I was raised to be very independent. Hence 3 jobs. Like, nah, going broke just ain't, that don't even sit well with my soul. I'm too damn bougie for that. Like, I live on the Lower East Side of Milwaukee. What are you even saying? Like, not just the East Side, the Lower East Side, downtown area. What does that even mean? And so, but that just made me feel very uncomfortable. But it wasn't like I was asking for handouts. People were like, well, you do a lot of work, like, and you on my heart. So just take it, so you need it, just take it. No one made a post says Brit Nicole needs help, financial help, give her money. No one said that. No one did that. And so I think we sometimes take it on like, who's making, y'all having conversations about me? Where is this money coming from? Where is this? And we forget about sowing and reaping. I have sown a lot, and I'm the greatest reaper that I know. So generally, I appreciate when the reaping comes when I actually need it and don't, versus just if I'm already plentiful to keep just overflowing. There's nothing wrong with abundance. But for the moments when I really, really need it, like, oh shit, how is rent going to get paid this month? Because I think I have at least 3 out of the 7, but I don't really see that 7 in my account. And all of a sudden I get hit with 8 more on top of what you know what I'm saying? Like out of nowhere, like, oh yeah, I forgot. There's this random thing that you had performed that you forgot, that you didn't get paid for, or, you know what I'm saying? So it really causes me to stay in a place of openness and vulnerability, and really just in a place of gratefulness. Like, we talk about reciprocity so much, and then when it finally happens to us, we act like we don't deserve it. And I always put myself in a position like, well, why is this happening to me? I don't deserve it. And people have to really stop and be like, but you do. And so that's what this year has really taught me. Like, if you position yourself right, even when you think you least expect it, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you stay aligned, all your needs will be met and then some. Not a bill didn't get paid in this house. Nothing was missing. Food was always here. Like, aside from losing jobs, and being furloughed and trying to figure out what to do with my free time and not being able to touch people for a couple of months being quarantined, nothing else was in lack. So when I look back at how hard those moments was to deal with that and be in that thing, now I'm in September, like, I did that though. And I overcame that. And I really wasn't lacking. In my mind at the time, I'm like, what I'm going to do? What you've been doing. You adapt. It's just one more day. You can do it. And a lot of people, that's why I keep preaching about, the mental and emotional wellness of folks. Like, you take things away from us, but you don't give us supplement. What are we supposed to do then? So it caused this creative to be more creative about how she's going to get through, how she's going to work through depression, anxiety when she's, in her own 4 walls. And so the village has helped. Ramone, when I started doing those Zoom chats to give people, a safe space, and look at that community that we have built from there. So I'm utilized, right? I'm get to be used. So that's a lot. Sorry, that was a lot, but that's what this year has really, really taught me. Like, when you have to own your words. I believe in my village. Okay, let's see if you really believe in it. Like, or I have faith. Okay, it's gonna be tested. Or, I'm not missing in anything. And when you don't see your account increase and only depleting, and you just like, I don't think I need a miracle on my last $50. So if you just got some random checks in the mail, I'm here for it. So, and it's teaching me to just stay humble, you know what I'm saying? So when I'm in a position again to be an even greater sower into folks in need, that it's not even a question because of what folks have been and done for me. So, yeah.
I'm glad you said that because a couple of things happened, especially over the summer, that really I'm still now trying to put the pieces together. I'm not saying I don't feel like I deserve it. I just don't know how to react to it, and I don't want to. I'm trying to figure out how to like piece it all together. Like, okay, this just happened. I was able to get this, and it's like, okay, it's like, man, I'm appreciative. I'm humble. Like, wow, I've been finally. I feel like something's finally going decent enough, and I want to take advantage of that. So I'm glad you said that because that was really, it was really dope because that's exactly how I was feeling, and yeah, I had something else I forgot. But so, how about you, Sarah? What have you learned about yourself? I would love to tell you myself. No, I tell you myself what I learned. No, but what did you feel like you learned about yourself during quarantine and everything else?
That's really hard for me because I feel like I haven't had a minute to sit down and, for lack of a better term, say I've enjoyed quarantine because my workload has doubled. Well, I guess because we're working from home, and so I just since March, like I went into work. I had been out a week, well, technically 2 weeks, because one, my brother was in the hospital, was out for that. Then I got diagnosed with walking pneumonia, so I was out for that. And then I went back to work the following week. Then the next day we were out, they kicked us all out. I don't know. I feel like, I guess just being fortunate in general, like having more than what I actually think I have. Just being blessed with family and friends. Don't cry.
Tears are good. They're good.
I know.
Yeah.
I hate being vulnerable.
Girl, talk about it.
Tough skin. As my friend says, I'm a thug.
Thug tears are real, girl. I said that every day.
I know. I'm a hardcore social butterfly, so I've been like struggling, not saying stuck at home, like, but just being at home. I mean, Ramone's great, don't get me wrong, but it's still like a different thing when going out and doing stuff. Like I got so busy last year. I mean, what I thought was busy last year that I started like not going out as much, or like telling friends like, yeah, I'll be there, and like kind of like flaked off last minute because I felt tired. So that for sure, whenever our new norm or whatever we open, I have somewhat of a public life again, that for sure I won't take advantage of anymore. But just overall, just being very fortunate and blessed having what we have because of the line of work that I'm in. I see people who are literally having to choose between paying their bills or where they're going to get their next meal from. Sorry. Or seeing people who work in the restaurant industry like signing up for these third-party companies to help them find jobs. And so like Ramone always says, I work for the Houston Food Bank, but I work in the marketing communications department. So a lot of the times I'm not doing the heavy lifting for our organization, but I'm out there with our clients, our neighbors, the people who are suffering the most right now. So sometimes I go out there and I'm having to interview them, and these people are like very vulnerable. It's like a very vulnerable, time in their lives. And so to hear the stories that some of these people are saying, like, it just makes me realize how fortunate I am that I'm not in their shoes. And just to, help those when I can help them. And I'm just tired. I went from working 40 hours a week to almost 60, 70 just because of the demand at first. Like after Memorial Day, I feel like I can finally breathe. That's why when the hurricane was coming this way, I was like, no, I don't want the hurricane because that's like a whole nother level of disaster mode on top of a disaster mode that we're already in. So I just need a vacation.
You deserve it.
It's coming. It's coming, but it's just, it's been a lot. And then having to push our wedding back too, that's been like kind of a, thing to work through. But overall, just that I'm very fortunate, more so than I ever thought I was. So, sorry.
No, you're okay.
Please don't apologize. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, that was very powerful.
I think what's interesting is having some type of friendships or companionships, partnerships. You have to be resilient to, it's okay to, I feel like for her, I mean, she's been going hard. And so the best thing I could do is just kind of like support and just, kind of just keep things in perspective, make life easier for her besides everything else she has going on. I would also like to add, I think one thing too is, all right, so over time, I've always think about social media is you are able to be friends with a lot of people, but you're able to like certain things. But I think this quarantine has helped, especially when it comes to Zoom, is I've been able to extend a hand to people that have always had an interest to talk to more. And that's why, Billy, what you up to? Britt, what you up to? Like, it's like, I ain't gonna lie to you. I kind of, it kind of sucks. You go to Parkside, you live in Milwaukee, and people just come across, and you always, you follow statuses, you rock with, and you're like, man, that person, I like what they talk about. But this has really allowed me to like feel like, like y'all my legit friends. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would say BFF, but that's giving y'all too much credit now. But like, no, y'all, like, I really like when I say I respect and appreciate people, I really do. Like, I don't give that just to anyone like that, right? But to sit there and talk about certain things and just we can talk about anything. I know this kind of got a little like I was thinking about doing something heavy and something light because we're talking about some heavy things we're gonna talk about is light, and everything feels right. I just really enjoy the perspective, like people is my thing, figuring out people's mindset, their process. Even when, I think when we first exchanged where our minds were and everything that we had going on, it feels good to listen to other people, so you never feel alone. Like people don't, it's weird how people just don't talk and ask questions so they don't feel alone. Fam, the fact that it's still crazy that I could be getting married. Like I would, it's like if you didn't grow up around married people or having stable relationships around and you're about to get married yourself, you're like, you just look at everything like a relationship. All right, shit don't work out, I'm out this bitch. You know what I'm saying? Like it just, but if you're able to talk to people to get a perspective, to learn different things, to see, even with single people who, that had parents that were married or parents that had been split or parents that stayed together for a long time, like Sarah's parents been together for 35, 36, 37 years, 38, 39 years, so her perspective growing up in the household she did. Look, I know all she needs to know is we was together for 5 years. That's all the number I need to remember. Anyway, so, but it's like you when you cross paths with people, for me, I look at it, everything's a process. Everything is something you can learn from, and you can hear like, oh man, I didn't really think of it from that standpoint. And that's what I care about. That's why I don't necessarily get involved with people who be saying shit on social media where they just like chuck that shit against the wall and run away. No, I'm talking to people who can put something on the wall and they can stand there and explain why they put that there. They explain why their process. Why did I put that? Even if you say something like, I don't know, you'll tell me in detail why you think that way. What's your perspective? I enjoy that shit because to me, out of everything else, that's the only hope of humanity that's left in me. I don't trust people. I'm not putting my trust or care into other people I expect better out of everyone. I expect people to comprehend and be savvy. I just have to come to terms. People just stupid. They're people just stupid. And it has to be that way. But what I keep my sanity is I can be around people who are very nuanced. I can be around people that even me talking about Jay-Z, this is why I don't like Jay-Z. I could be man, fuck Jay-Z. He the weakest rapper ever all time and then run away like ha ha ha. But I'm gonna tell you, and like even just something goofy like that or heavy things. Hey, this happened recently in communities. These things are happening to us. I got pulled over the other day. This is exactly what my perspective was. I appreciate that shit. And the fact that I'm able, like, y'all too, when I hit y'all, everybody been busy and things like that. But when I hit y'all, like, y'all get excited. It makes me feel so good. Like, man, I've been doing this for a reason. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I really was thinking about you, but I thought about it. I was going to hit you up like tomorrow. Because I was like, is he gonna do another one? And because I've inboxed you like, so when's the next, whatever. And so when you hit me up today, I was like, he literally had to know that I was gonna ask him.
Funny, I was thinking the same thing, but I was like, that's so funny. I even said it to him.
I look forward to these. Yeah. I do. I don't remember last time I had like a real interaction with Billy, and Billy's one of my favorite people. You know what I'm saying? Billy's family, and so you really brought people together, you know what I'm saying? Like, even when you had us just for the ladies, a few of them, we're still like Facebook friends and we'll chime in and here and there. But really the genesis of that was the conversation that you brought us together, like myself, you're a convener, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I didn't know what that was at first. I was like, what does that mean? To bring people together, and we don't have to, I love that we don't all agree, but we can have so much value in what each other says. Like, oh, I guess I didn't even look at it, like even having a conversation about R. Kelly that generally I would just avoid because, look, you pick your battles. I'm not trying to get triggered. I'm not trying to get set off. I know I feel what I feel and I live my life how I live my life. But if we're going to talk this out, if this is the moment to have a conversation about that authentically, in the midst of whoever's viewing it from social media, because I know that we're live, why not?
Oh, great.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
on Facebook.
Right. You know what I'm saying? Like, that,
and that's
my
just bad, y'all. We live, everybody. What's going on now?
Right. I can see it. But, just like how I went live after the, Brandy Monica thing. And I was like, 1,000 views. What are y'all doing with y'all life? Why are y'all even chiming in with me? But just that stuff is important. Like what you just had it on your heart. And I love what we have built since then. You know what I'm saying? Like I really, really appreciate these platforms. I really appreciate not being the one to have to host it or have to be the one to facilitate it all the time. I can just show up. That makes me feel so good because everybody's like, Brit, can you be the one to do it? Take the charge, send the link, provide the space. And I'd be like, damn, can somebody just provide the space for me? So I can just show up late if I need to. I don't have to be here 30 minutes early I don't know who's going, so I am really grateful for that because I'll be needing those outlets. And Sarah, I saw your comment when I was a while ago. I had made a post about business cards and I just happened to like search and go back to it because I was working on something. And I was like, oh my God, how did I bypass this? And I was telling Ramone about that. So it's really nice to actually like meet you, at least in this capacity.
Likewise.
And this is like the first time I've done this and that you've been on. And
because he never invites me.
Girl, we need to change that.
She said this. Together. Aisha thought, because this is Aisha is her bestest.
Aisha's my best friend.
Oh, this is the one that don't like social media at all, right?
Yes.
Like,
she's the painter.
Yes.
And so Sarah was talking about we was talking about, she was on the phone with them. It's like, yeah, Ramone don't do this. It's like, no, it's not there. So Aisha just laughed and thought that was funny. It's like, no, I just I explain it. But the thing is what you're not trying to understand is it's not against you. It's the fact that I want you to try to anyway. But
I might have a smooch bit of FOMO.
She be out here thinking we out here talking about, yeah, what I'm saying? We could be out here kicking it, and she ain't gonna be hanging out with us because, she ain't cool enough for us. But no, we're for real. So I think that, so before I go to Billy,
wait, before you go to Billy, how many pairs of shoes do you have?
Oh God.
I have no idea.
I just like that they're all color coordinated. I'm in love with that.
95,600 shoes. Look at that.
Listen, I got all the shoes in the world with no swag, but I get a good. I got a good deal on some sneakers, and
you got a good Russell Simmons going on, Billy. That's just something.
The good part. The good part of Russell Simmons, by the way.
Looking at all
good
your
part of Russell
shoes.
Simmons.
This has been a lot of work, but I've been it's weird because for sneakers, like anything else, I haven't switched shoe sizes for so many years, and so I've just kept them and keep adding to the collection. Honestly, it's the biggest waste of money that I do. But a little backstory for me is like I don't smoke, I don't
I
drink, I
think
never.
everybody has their vice, one way
Yeah,
or
like
the other.
it's always something, and I literally don't spend my money on anything.
Mine
So
are glasses. I have
yeah,
like 25 pair.
Everyone has something.
yes. So
I've
And
been
it's
too
a,
broke
I'm
to
just
spend money on
kidding.
anything. I guess finding a good place to eat. But
I want to give you
that.
before.
I like food too.
Hey, so before we get off that, I do want to say, Ramon, I appreciate you so much because I think these have been powerful for me. Like I know I'm always aware you're recording, and though like it might get, I don't know, I've never cared what the views look like because like
Yeah.
that doesn't matter for me. It's always been the social element of connecting, and you're somebody who I've always wanted to connect with. Like period. Like we've always had chemistry. We've always been able to talk when we've seen each other, and it's always been all love, but to really be able to dive deep with you and just to have that social element with you has been powerful. And I like without you, like no matter what happens, me and Brit might not talk for the next 10 years, 5 years. I'm always gonna love Brit. Like we have a history. Like when you talk about these conversations, man, me and Brit for
We used
4
to do this all the time.
years. For years until 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning. And you talk about intense dialogue where sometimes we on the same team and sometimes we're not on the same team and we going at it, and then the next day it's love and we're figuring it out. I just appreciate these moments because I'll tell you what, probably ever since I've come out of college, to be honest with you, this is, I would say, probably what people mistake about me is even though I'm in the people field, like I don't, outside of my family and outside of the gym, I really have, this is my social element. Like I don't have anybody else that I connect with. So for you to pull, like it's either work or family for me. And I really love these moments because it gives me an opportunity to dialogue in a way that I don't normally get to. So I'm forever appreciative, and I love all of you guys. Like I really got to say, like I genuinely love you guys, and I'm so proud just to be in your presence and to be in this conversation with you. And every time you bring somebody else on, be it Sarah or Asia, whoever it is, like I crave those moments because I feel like, they always give me perspective that I would not have had because I don't have that interaction. So I appreciate that perspective.
So I'm glad you said that, Billy, because here the internet, outside of like family and work, Billy don't fuck with y'all. You know what I'm saying? But no,
Okay, Petty Murphy.
no, but I actually, it's interesting because I think that, I've always had that thing where you just be the glue guy. You bring people together, never be able to kick it. When I moved to Houston, I remember I had this big party at my house. There was a bunch of people I didn't think they was there. They didn't think they were going to kick it. Or when I lived in Milwaukee, and I think the hardest thing when I left Milwaukee when it comes to friends that people I kicked it with and we just randomly all kicked it together, they didn't really kick it after I left. And it used to bother me like, yo, y'all can still be cool, and I just feel like, for me, I've been able to be so interested in people. It's like, it's kind of like that. If you compare it to business, if I was a business consultant, right, and somebody needed help with this, and I was consulting another company, he need help with this, and I'm like, oh, you should meet this guy, or you should meet this woman because they're doing this, and I think they'll be able to help you with this because I think I'm just like that with people and just life, and I always find it just interesting. So, to Billy, to you, what have you learned about yourself this year?
You have to snot nose cry though, because you have to outdo me so I don't look bad.
You guys gave powerful answers.
That's what happens when you just doing your hard work, Sarah. That's it. You can't. I mean, trust me. I'm always crying a river. So you just took on my tears.
Yo, so we purposely trying to get Sarah to talk at the wedding because everybody knows, like her friends,
I'm a crier.
family.
If I'm mad, I cry. If I'm sad, I cry.
No,
cry.
if Sarah just
what's your sign, Sarah?
I'm an Aquarius.
Yeah, but she I know what you about to say, Britt, but people think Aquarius is kind of like tough and don't give a fuck, you know what I'm saying? So
I have that side too, but
it's trash too.
Not trash. Girl, I'm a Pisces, so just over the floodgates.
I'm a Virgo, so you know what that means. You fucking with me, nobody out here.
That's for another conversation.
I'm king, not give a fuck out in these streets. No.
All right, let's let Billy answer.
I'm sorry.
What's the question is, what have I learned about myself?
Yeah.
So what have I learned about myself?
Yeah.
What have I learned about? I learned that I'm not as strong as I thought that I was. And I say that from like every day. So I work in retail, right? And every day I just like I'm good at my job, and I take a lot of pride in my job. Like I feel like I'm the best. When I do something, I feel like I'm the best at it, right? And I realize that could be taken away from me like this, and then what? Right? Like, and I have this constant fear of losing everything that I've worked hard for. So it's put perspective. I've also learned perspective, like because I've got to diversify myself, and then I'm also starting to think about the world like in a way of, if everything was taken away, right? If all the hard work that we all do was taken away, then what? Like, what is the purpose of life? And this is something that I think about all of the time. Even if COVID passes, right, and we go back to normal, is that really what's best for us? Like, is that like what is the purpose of life? That's what I've been really learning about myself, is trying to find a true purpose outside of work. I think for me, the last 7 years, I've made my life revolve around work, and I've got to figure out how to make my life revolve around life instead of work. So that's one thing that I've learned about myself, and I'm trying to put myself out there more. I'm trying to, one, diversify my skill set just in case, God forbid something happens to my industry. What else can I contribute to this world, and how else can I create a great life for my kids? So those are things that are on my mind that I've learned about myself. So I'd say definitely I'm not as strong and as great as I thought that I was. And I've got to figure out how to diversify myself and find purpose outside of work.
Definitely. I feel like a lot of people, I just posted this the other day on my Instagram. It said, let me see if I find it real quick. It said, if I can find it. And it's not in my stories anymore. It pretty much said something along the lines like, people are photographers, people are chefs, people are creatives, people are crafters, but we never have had the chance to fully dive into it because we've never had the time to just, sit and focus on us or things of that nature. So I feel like a lot of people, even though they had technically some sort of side hustle in them, they've never been able to like fully act on it, or even a skill or just a hobby. And now people are having or have had that opportunity to kind of like dive into that other side of themselves.
Yeah.
I love that.
I will also say this for me this year. So there's another side of me too and I keep going down this hole even more with the Jacob Blake shooting and the racial injustices. I have to always think of this quote, Martin Luther King and even Jesus, like two quotes: hate cannot drive out hate, only love can do that. And then Jesus, when he's saying the greatest commandment that I leave you is love, to love your neighbor. Like, because for me, I think I lost sight of that for a little bit. And like, and I have to check myself. And Britt, I appreciate your post when you said it's okay. Like one of your posts where you basically said, hey, if you need to disconnect for mental health reasons, please do that. And I read that post, and it was right on time for me, because I was like, I was getting in this circle of hate. Like I started to hate everything. And I was just, there's no victory coming from that. So I've also learned this year I've learned I got to be very careful with what I consume and the energy that I'm feeding out to the world, because I've been angry, I've been hateful, and I've been confused. So that's one thing that I've learned too. And I appreciate those kind of posts, Britt, because when I read that, I was like, because first thing I do when I wake up, hey babe, and then I pick up my phone and I can't stop. And then so when I come across a post that's like, hey, you need to get off social media, like the first thing you get off, okay, let me put this down and try to step away, because it's hard. This is so tough.
And giving yourself permission so what you said about like, that you're not as strong as you think you are. And I think we have to look at what is strength, right? Like even that, like your emotional intelligence to even tell you to get you to that place, something is being strengthened. You know what I'm saying? Like maybe there was just a focus, like you noticed that there was a deeper focus on one thing, and then now you were just pulled in a different direction. that also need to be like, you know, when you work, like some things that need to be conditioned, right? Like, okay, I'm good on my legs, but what about my arms? Like, what good is having upper body if my lower body is, you know, whatever? Like, you know, you want to, there's a balance happening. So in you thinking that you're not as strong as you believe yourself to be, it's wait, my power and my strength have just been placed in areas that I just wasn't focusing on before. You're even more powerful, and you're even more strong than you were before because you have activated these other spaces, you know, and you've given yourself the time and permission to, you know, to do that. And it's so easy for us to get wound up in our stuff. I was thinking about when like this stuff that's happened, this pandemic is global. So we're all feeling it. But you can't help but like see it as individual, like what did I do to bring about a pandemic? That's what I said in my house. I was like, God, what did I do? I thought I was adulting well. Like, what did I do? And all I thinking, like, you know, I'm pulling from a Monica bag. Don't take it personal.
Yeah.
It's just one of them days. And for us, you know,
One of
like
those
just
years.
one of those years. But like, don't take it personal. I'm not punishing you. It's not you didn't set off the pandemic. But we feel like we do because everything about us is happening to us. It's my trauma now. It's my stuff. You know what I'm saying? It's my discomfort. Sarah, I resonate with you. I am one of the most cuddle masters of this world. Do you know when someone told me that I had to be quarantined and I could not touch folks in an appropriate way? I know we are recording. Like I was walking a fresh time almost every other day because I know they're like, what is she here for again? I just want to see your face. I need to interact. I need to interact with humans because this is difficult for me. I'm single and I live alone. And, you know, so like trying to, and like Ramone said, I was going to karaoke twice a week. You know what I'm saying? Like that was part of my self-care. I get out, you know, if I'm not performing, and I don't perform often, or I'm hosting or doing something or whatever, I'm generally incognito, really at home, just, you know, binge watching or just, you know, catching up. So it's a lot of readjusting. And I had to change my, you had to change my mind. And I, just like you, I cried, not even thinking about me. I thought about my young people because my young people and then interactions with law enforcement, when you're trying to tell them where they can and cannot go, and you know, and they need to go to get groceries because mom is at work because she's an essential worker. Like all I kept thinking is, what y'all gonna do for our young people now that they can't go to actual camps and they can't do this? And I don't, you know, like that's, I didn't even think about me. I'm like, I'm on the back burner. I'm instantly thinking about elders who need that support, but I thought about my young people. So like, and then hearing those stories, and those people who lost, you know, lost that battle, of not knowing how to identify safer spaces in home, because even in the house, it's not always easy. And so I think it just caused us to tap into different strengths within ourselves. It caused us to be more creative and more adaptive and more relative. The more we get to get these things out and verbally say these things or talk in a forum, you realize you're not the only person in this world going through it. And then it's like, well, shoot, what are you doing for self-care? Can you send me some tips? Because whatever I'm doing ain't working. And I could use a little revamp or maybe a playlist or something. Like we can all, that's how the community works. You have something that can really benefit me. Or if I'm seeing you react in this work that you're doing, then I know that I'm working in my purpose. Because that's exactly how I get. If people have told me, you're doing too much, you care too much. Like, just focus on your job. Like, this is my job. The people are my job. What are you talking about? So when I see that, I see my reflection through your reactions, and I'm like, oh, so this is okay. This is normal. Like,
It is normal.
this is normal. It's hard, girl.
It's hard. It's normal. It's just because it tends to be minorities who are the ones who are hit the most.
As always.
I know. And so like, that's why like when I went to this one place, so it's a program called Get Shift Done. And it's a lot of like restaurant industries. Now that I've cried it out, now I can talk about it. And so a lot of them tend to be Latinos. And so, and I'm very fortunate to be where I'm at in life because my parents, my dad, I'm first uh, first generation on my dad's side American, but on my mom's side, our people have always been here on that side. So like, but because they were able to make sacrifices for us, like I was able to go to college, not have to work until I was like in my mid-20s. So I mean, they set us up for success. So I'm thankful for that. But I also understand not everybody had that fortune, to be set up like that. And so when I get out there, like that could have easily been me. And so like my heart goes out to them because that used to be my dad. My dad was the one who was working construction jobs, like out in the heat. My dad's always been a blue collar worker. And so to see them is like seeing my dad or seeing myself in some way, like it's not fair. So it just tugs on those types of things.
I appreciate you for your heart and your heart in what you do. I can feel it. I can hear it. It's real. And I hope you get that much needed vacation. I hope that you replenish the way you give out to others, that someone or something or whatever is able to pour back into you to bring, you know what I'm saying? Like, so that you're not feeling like you're pouring from an empty cup. I do that often. And so you deserve that. The givers of this world, we also need to turn our hands to be the receivers, and you deserve for all that you've given and continue to give, that you get poured back into 10, 100-fold, you know what I'm saying? To just keep you in this work. Cause we lose so many great people in this work because of, compassion fatigue and burnout and
Definitely.
all that kind of other stuff. So it's important. I hope that you get exactly what you need and then some.
Yeah, a lot of people.
I gotta jump off though because my wife is downstairs and she's waiting for me. So I gotta get down to the missus. But I love you guys, and I look forward to the next one, Ramone.
All right, man. Holla.
I'll see you guys soon.
Bye.
See you, Billy.
Well, I was gonna say, empaths is a very thankless personality trait. Like, you're taking in so much. What up, Whitney? So we take in so much. We're doing so much to try to understand the next person and know that even if I don't have anything to give, I'm still willing to give.
Yeah.
Real quick for me, what I learned about myself during this time was, first and foremost,
he's a very patient man to deal with me.
I've learned, the thing I learned about myself is I've sat to tell myself, like, I know I've been right the whole time. I ain't gonna lie to you. I don't want to see people suffer and die. I just needed something in the world for us to be honest with ourselves. I think so. I have an older sister on my dad's side, Candace, and she had went to Africa. Oh, my dad just joined on Facebook, and she had went to Africa, and I remember talking to her after she got back. She went to Clark Atlanta University. She pledged. She did all these different things in her life, working jobs that paid pretty good. She lives in Chicago now, and I was talking to her, and it's like, being in Africa for a while, and it changes the way you appreciate the resources you have. She learned so much about the value of life and the value of family and things like that. Compared to here, we're in a capitalistic place. We always think the grind and the pushing and the things that we're doing, it's part of our survival, and that's just living life. And we're technically not living life, right? We're just kind of getting by until we die because we are used as you're chasing something until you're done for, and you don't know when that's going to happen. And for me, for so long, even when I moved to Houston, even live in Milwaukee, Madison, I've always tried to involve myself because people just, if I've had issues with things, people say, Ramone, well, in order for things to be better, or if you need, stop complaining about things you don't like, go out there and try to make an impact, right? So I feel like I've consistently tried to put myself out there to be the impact, and maybe it might be an ego at play, where I feel like I'm gonna be the difference maker. And you end up burning out. You realize that sometimes you can't force the horse to drink the water, or you can't, you can only tell people so much because people might not be on the level where you are, and it's going to take some time and some patience for that. But I think what happened during quarantine and during COVID is a lot of things that we've, it's kind of like putting makeup on the pig. I've heard this a long time ago. You put makeup on the pig, at the end of the day, it's still a pig, right? A lot of these things that happen. Sarah working in the Houston Food Bank. You've learned that all the things that we're thinking is okay is really not okay. You know, when these things happen and you learn that hundreds of thousands of kids didn't have the proper internet at home, you know, they didn't have the access to food that they needed. You learn that people are dealing with a lot more than they thought. Most people didn't really like the jobs they were working. Usually the only time you're forced to sit home if you lose a job and don't know when your next paycheck is coming. But now everyone's sitting at home at the same time. Now this is the opportunity for the people you vote for to do with their jobs, which is to help you, to provide some care and need when in need, and especially during a pandemic. So when all else fails and they're not doing what they're supposed to do, now we have a reason to have the feelings to say they're trash. They're not good at this. They don't care about us. That to me is what has happened in 2020, where everything that if you had any questions about the way people really felt or thought or the way people are, or just like I said, our own immortality, life in general, this really, really hit where there's an opportunity to learn more about the surroundings. And I feel like a lot of things I've always felt, and people say, man, Ramone, you overthink, you think too much, you know, you just so, you know, it's like, because people you'll know it, you'll just know when something is. It's kind of like, imagine being in Kenosha. We was in Kenosha in 2005, in 2006, you know, that's when my start was. Imagine being in Kenosha, like, man, this place is really divided. It's a lot of Milwaukee or other big town black people and a lot of small town white people. And I know we all kicking and having fun, getting drunk on a Thursday, but this place is really not as great as you think, right? Somebody like, man, what you talking about, man? We all come, and then a few years later, when things start coming out, you're not the crazy one anymore. When that's when the bare bones hit, when you come to realize I've been saying this for a long time, and we just think that if you just you put air freshener over a shitty toilet, man, it don't smell as bad as it did before. No, it's still stinking here. You know what I mean? Like, and I've always felt that way. Sarah knows. I do feel like every single voice, every single opinion, a lot of people's voices and experiences and things have to say matters and things like that. You know, people have the opportunity to kind of speak about things they're going through, but we also have to be savvy enough to kind of know how we're picking and, you know, what we're trying to save ourselves from ourselves when it comes to the information we're taking and the things we see, because like I said, this can mess with us a lot, so much, right? And, you know, even the other day when we was talking in the group and I was like, sometimes we need to fall back. It's not like we need to disappear, but anytime, everything that happens on social media, it don't matter if it's not really do with black people. We always got social commentary on it. It's entertaining, it's fun, but sometimes we gotta let other people drown. Because obviously people, the same way because everybody always got commentary on what black people doing, but they're not savvy enough or can comprehend or do those things, or to give an excuse of why maybe we're wrong about something. And sometimes we got to let other people drown. If something happened with some people that ain't really involving us, let them be. We don't got to make jokes about them. Fuck them. I don't care. Because right now, no one has came to us with a pure solution. And there's only one thing: accountability of people in power. You know, but with that being said, so I think the thing I learned about myself is, number one, I've had more of appreciation that finally everybody, I feel like in order and this to me is about expectation, is we've been able to see, like when they have things to say, when you cut the grass, the snakes will show. This was it. We know what this shit looks like now. In 2021 America, no one can act stupid like they don't know what was going on or they don't know what's up. People was able to get away with that for a very long time. So now, through politics or through the way you live life, there's no middle anymore. You either with the shits or you not with the shits. And if you're not with the shits, you can't get mad with the people with the shits ready to get on that ass. Period. If you're a politician and we're talking about people got one stimulus check for $1,200, and you got other countries like, look, we're gonna do everything we can. We help our citizens. We live in Houston, the biggest medical center in the whole fucking country. There's no reason they should be lacking on anything to me. Now, when you have millions and billions of dollars and people making an ass load of money off this shit, You talking about people bragging about how something we live in America. This past, like people have tried to protect themselves through identity. That's what like I don't need. Look, I'm born in Milwaukee. Cool. I'm from 39th Street. I went to the Boys and Girls Club on Sherman and Burleigh for a long time. Used to walk home trying to figure out, do I feel like walking on 41st or 40th today to walk home because you don't know which block is going what. Like I understand where I come from, but I don't need. Those things of identity does not make who I am, because it molded a little bit, but it's not things I depend on. I'm willing to die for. The same way we see people when it comes to flags or certain constitutional rights. That makes no sense. That's a detriment towards other people.
Yeah, but people are profiting off of that, though. We know that.
Exactly. Like that's
so, like, why would you? So if you know, it's like, there's a lot of crime. But we just need to reduce it just a little bit to show that we're actually doing something about it. But if we can't eliminate everything, because then all of a sudden that's going, what's that payroll going to look like? I mean, there are people literally profiting off of a pandemic, knows exactly, has the resources plentiful.
That's why when
we are very resource filled, and
too much money to be made. Too much money to be made.
Way too much.
The insecurity is an industry itself. Like I used to work at a gym, and you can work out the gym. You be on elliptical, you can be on a Stairmaster, and you see on the TV, you watch your TV, and right across the bottom, you can do this surgery and show what real beauty is. You are here taking a sweat, like, man, I'm gonna do those things. And half an hour, my calf now muscle don't have a booty cheek yet on it. So what you gonna do? You're gonna find other ways. Like insecurity sells, identity sells. If you can attach yourself to something, even I don't feel like I need to attach myself to something that I feel like what's too much to the point where I think it's, if it's a detriment towards other people, fuck that identity. You know what I'm saying? Like it don't really mean anything to me anymore, because I rather not see people suffer than me out here trying to let people know I'm proud to be this. And you're talking to, I'm dealing with an interesting battle, because I am naturally, as being a young man, an imperfect man, I'm going to have battles with women in general, women as a totality, women as a whole. Right. But also I'm a black man. So then you're going to have your questions. You're going to have your concerns. You're going to have I can't say battles, because for me, I don't see it that way, because like we were talking about the other day, if you post something like black men need to protect, or I just need black men to protect black women more, I'm not looking at it and feel offended. Like, what do you mean? I'm looking at like, I know you and understand. Like, yeah, I can see that. I might have questions, concern, hit you up like, so what if I'm a person where I'm like this and it doesn't, like, I'm not taking it personally. I'm not looking at it as, well, this is not what I do. I look at it as, yo, I'm nuanced that way. Right. Mm-hmm. But I feel like I tell Sarah all the time, like Sarah, no, I've never cussed her out. I don't call her. This is not my vibe. I'm pretty much lame. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's cool, but I don't benefit from shitting on Sarah. I don't. I don't benefit from shitting on Sarah in any type of capacity, because I know how it feels to have people love the shit out of me unconditionally when it comes to family members and friends. And I know the things they go through when they did love, Brit, you've probably loved someone, but when they was able to move an inch from you, they noticed a difference. You know what I'm saying? When they took a little piece away from you that you was willing to give to them, you don't get fully of that. That's why, like, we just talking about Sarah being emotional. Like, we're joking at the wedding, because even if somebody say, Sarah, what do you think about Ramone? She might tear up. Why? Because I have to come to understanding. I might mean that much to her in her life, or who I am to her. And if I do anything to fuck that up, I can't sit there and expect that same reaction again. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just like that in general. So there's so many things I've had to learn and work on myself, and talking to people and be like, all right, well, it's not always about me. You have to be a servant to your people. You can't always be selfish. It's not always about you, But I've learned about the thing I learned about myself is just continue having the patience. I think I've been doing the right thing. Things eventually going to go my way. Make sure that the basics, the fundamentals of what a relationship should be is at its best, regardless of what the title is. Sarah went from girlfriend to fiance and wife. If I've done a lot of weddings. If shit ain't right, that title don't mean shit. We just have a title. I can say all day, man, my wife at home, my wife, and she probably would hate my guts. That's why a majority of people, that's why, like I tell all this time, like I want to make sure what we have is good. What we have is right. Because technically Sarah could be, forget relationship, Sarah could have been my best friend because I'm really good having women best friends, like, platonic friends. Like I've looked at the friendship capacity because when you watch failed relationships over and over again and people are miserable and sad, they've been hoping and wishing for love and companionship. I'm not going to be perfect at it. I'm real chill. Sometimes I might not be man enough because I might be procrastinating, kind of lazy. I'm not really the greatest at bills all the time, but like I feel like the basics is kind of like basketball. Just know your fundamentals and your footwork and the proper jump shot and knowing how to dribble with both hands. When you do that, so much can go your way. And the thing about it is, it won't you'll be more appreciated when you get older. Me being like this in the 20s, people wasn't looking for dudes like that. You know what I mean? Like, they was trying to find out, man, what these bad dudes up to. Let me see what this nigga up to. And
That's not always the case.
Not always the case. But if your surroundings is like that, you start down yourself like, damn, do I need to be more like that? Like, and it's like, if you're patient with yourself and you confident with yourself, people seek you out and want to be in your aura. But yeah, this year just been kind of interesting. Like, I don't mind sitting in the house, and I think it was just a good time for everybody to be honest with themselves. There's nothing wrong sitting in the house too much. Reevaluate yourself, maybe get your mind right, learn more about yourself, and you come to terms that shit. Like people say, I miss things back to normal. Normal was trash, fam. Nobody wanted this. Normal was trash. Let's keep it a buck. Normal was trash. It was always going to be trash. So the only reason people was missing it because that was just something we were doing every day. No one wants to be sitting in traffic for an hour on the way to work and be at the job around people they don't like being at work with, and then go home crying or going home and drinking the night away because they don't really like the job after spending an hour probably in the dark driving home from work. That normal was ass. And now this year has been a year where everybody just comes down to it, find your fundamentals, and when things hit bare bones, what is really real and what's been exposed. I know I just went on a long rant, but that's just pretty much, yeah. I've been wanting to say that.
It's just I think it's just an adapting. Like you said, like it wasn't that good to begin with, but we normalized it. It was our lives, and this is what we got used to. And so that's all we ever knew. And so when it got taken away from us, and swiftly, it wasn't a gradual transition. It was literally like, oh, something's hit. And then I remember March 13th, like a few days after my birthday. Like, thankfully, I felt bad for everybody else because I was able to have an amazing birthday, have all these people, around. And then that Monday, things start closing, stuff shutting down. By that Friday, it was like, yeah, y'all not coming back to work. And I was furloughed for 3 months for sure. You know what I'm saying? Like it was just like, what? It was almost like we talk about the Twilight Zone. It's like somebody just literally pulled you out of a time warp. You didn't even get a chance to just really think about what happened. All you knew was that it was happening. And then can you imagine being at work while your superior or the leads are trying to meet and figure out what the next steps are, because now they have to go up here and figure out how to convey this message that they don't really know. They know about as much as we do. Everybody is looking. We have to cling on to the propaganda because that's where we're getting the utmost information for. And it's changing every 5 minutes. And with that, our emotions are up and down and up and down. I think I got clarity, but then there was another case. 100 people caught it, but one died. So we're going to focus on that one that died. Like, oh my God, it could be me. We're sorry for that casualty, but a lot of them are not dying. But we're going to move you here because, that keeps, like, sex sells, and if it bleeds, it reads. It's what they're trying to do. That this is what people get paid to do. To have your emotions like a horror film, up and down, like you're on a roller coaster, up and down. And then some people have children. Most people have children. I can't imagine.
I can't either. And that's like with children, like, I know we don't have kids, but like people who have children, like I can't even imagine, like we as adults can't fully comprehend or get the hang of this. But imagine a child, like they went to school, went home for spring break, and they never went back, or they're finally going back. Like, and I'm sure kids are acting out, and you know and they're just trying to express their frustration too. So I mean, it's just like it's if we can't handle it as an adult, like I feel like we shouldn't pressure children to
They
try to
can't even see
handle
their
it.
friends. Like they can't even, so this is how we develop. And we can't, and everything just like stopped.
Yeah.
And it was like, you just gonna have to deal with it. Or you're gonna get fined. Fam, with money. With what money? You're gonna fine me with what? Like I was literally living check to check. Some people were literally living check to check. And all of a sudden it's like, it's a scary place to be. Uncertainty is scary for anyone. When you don't know when the next thing, when you put things in place so that you can work out of debt, so you can get yourself, right or whatever, and all of a sudden to have that taken away from you, stripped away from you, that security is what it is. Your security got stripped from you. All that you knew, like I knew that I was still in my apartment, but I could have definitely been evicted.
Yeah.
I could have really lost my mind. All those liquor bottles behind me could have been gone. Like, what I'm saying? Like they're like, when I think about like the value in people who love me and check up on me, or having that strength within myself to center myself, like, okay, Brit, if all you have is you, and you don't have the strength to call someone because they're going through something too. So in the midst of a pandemic, you're going through. My grandmother had been in the hospital since like late February at St. Mary's right by me. And once that stuff hit, I couldn't even see her. And then and think about the family members of those you couldn't see that didn't make it out of the hospital.
Yeah.
Drive-by funerals, homegoings. Like it just didn't make sense to us. And I'm like, and this is my mother's mother, and I lost my mother in 2017. So I'm just kind of like, wait, whoa. I mean, she's good now. She's doing well now.
That's
but
good.
maybe like 2 months ago, they gave her 6 days.
Oh, wow.
6 days. Now,
And then to not
mind you,
even be able to go in there and see her or talk to her.
Those kind of things, that's what scared me the most. Like that's, to find out a friend might have had COVID or whatever, like to get a better understanding and, adjusting to having the mask on, or, some people just being nasty as hell. We just need you to wash your hands, fam. That's, we're spreading germs.
Basic hygiene.
Literally like, oh, because I don't know how to wash my ass properly or my hands, let me just go buy the bar. Let me go buy all the Clorox wipes so no one else can get any.
And all the toilet paper.
So no one else can get any. Like, wait a minute.
What's
what is happening here? So it's just that, and even now, still saying you got to limit yourself to 2. Like still,
and that's
we're
how
building
it's here.
scarcity. The scarcity.
And that's why when the hurricane was coming last week, or we thought it was coming this way, I'm not going to lie, I freaked out. And I'm like,
rightfully so.
Even like trying to get like basic necessities like water or like more toilet paper, like it was just like, I was like, oh my God, here we go again. Like we just normalized grocery shopping or just shopping in general just to have a storm come through and everybody's freaked the fuck out again. And here we go. When all this happened, when this all started, we literally had like 4 rolls of toilet paper. And I'm like, we like, who would have thought that the toilet paper shelves would have been cleared out?
Bare.
Like we were down to 1 row at one point, and this is like right when it was first kind of starting. So like we kind of had shut down, but not really mandatory shutdown yet. And I went over to one of my neighbors. She has a large family, so she shops at Sam's and Costco. She literally gave me like a 4-pack of toilet paper. And I was like, because the funny thing is that one of my cats, when she feels neglected, she likes to shred toilet paper. And because we can't put the toilet paper on the roller because they'll like ply it down, it's usually like on the side somewhere. So I guess she thought it would be cute to like shred it up. And I'm like, what are you doing? This is like,
girl, we're in the midst of a pandemic. What is you doing?
She almost lost her life. But like,
tell that to your pets. The pets ain't catching it.
Like, you can't do that.
I can't imagine. I told you 2020 is about head hoe. Just, I mean, like, for real, like any kind of let up in the midst of all this stuff. One of my really close friends, she lost her life, and it was abruptly too, and we're only like a few years apart. She's also, you know, single, lives by herself, do so much work for the community. Like, I've never seen somebody go so hard for young people and advocate the way she has, and we have been in each other's lives for at least 9 years. um and so after, and then finding out through social media that, you know, like that it happened because her mom, like, it was her young people who realized, like, hey,
We haven't
Miss
seen
Jones ain't
her.
been, and she, you know, she's texting everybody, like telling them, hey, y'all, this is our plan for the day. And they
Mm-hmm.
used to getting her messages in the morning time, like, hey, something ain't right here.
Yeah.
You know, to prompt somebody to even call to have her mom come and find her unresponsive. And I was like, I was freaking out because I'm like, what do I do for my loved ones? How do I put that in place where y'all don't just find me unresponsive? Or for the first week and a half, I kept waking up almost in a mini panic attack thinking like, well, why her, not me? Why am I still here? You know what I'm saying? Like, that could have been me. And we had just seen her make a post the night before. And it's like, it shakes you
It's terrible.
because life is just like this. It's finite. So I remember the old youth pastor that I used to know. And he said, your life, you know, on a headstone or whatever, will basically be defined by the year you were born, the dash, and the year that you transition. What are you doing with that
The
dash?
dash.
The dash means everything. It doesn't mean that you can't sit here and waste a day in tears and contemplation, but don't stay there because, you know, ain't nothing good staying there. Like, get something out of it. Deal with yourself, because I know that even being quiet into yourself can be a scary place. But then let's be action forward. If this is gonna be my last day on earth, I need to know that somebody to know that I love them, that I gave my best self, something, you know, like, I won against depression today because I got out of bed, and that's my win for the day. And I'm okay with that. I got out the door and I have all these triggers being a black woman, not knowing who gonna set me off, or just me having a thought. Now I'm an angry black woman. And all of a sudden I got indirect things happening in the world, in my community, that, you know, they, it, life will love me to just be numb, but I can't. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I know I'm going to do life with a black man and bring these black babies into this world at some point in my life. And I'm birthing targets. I'm birthing marked men and women. And that's scary for me. You know, and I'm 33, but I can't even fathom it. My womb is like, you might want to try having a baby. And I'm like, yeah, but like, no, let's not, because that scares me.
World is
You
nuts.
know,
They already
you
have,
ugh, oof.
and they already have the stats. Some article came out saying that um, black children, black mothers, black women giving birth, their the deaths of the births are higher when they have white doctors compared to black doctors or something like that.
Oh, I used to work in infant mortality. Well, we changed the narrative to say healthy birth, you know, rates or whatever, because you don't, no one wants to have the conversation about babies actually dying.
Yeah.
No one wants to talk about that reality. But when I was a public ally serving 2 terms at United Way, that's the field that I was in. And I had to do with outreach, and I also dealt with policy. So I sat at the policy committee and other, you know, other things. But can you imagine hearing stories of young women who the doctors talked at them and not to them, and, like, you know, losing a child that you were, you know, forming into your womb, and no one really supporting you the way you needed to be, or just let a community having the basic needs, like access. We were talking about that earlier, just access to fresh water, because, you know, we still have a lead epidemic that's been going on for decades. You either drinking lead or the poison or the stuff that's supposed to kill the lead that's still in the same water that you are washing your bodies with, that you are drinking, that you are boiling to cook and everything like that, that you are putting on yourself. And then, you know, you're dealing with all of those things on top of everything else you have to go through. Like, no one is thinking access to fresh food. So instead of just liquor stores and outdated food, like, ooh, you see it on the market 2 days before the expiration date, but, you know, you got to go drive across town. But who has a car
There's
like that?
food deserts.
Food deserts. Now, for where I live, I am in a total opposite. I am surrounded by 2 picking slaves, a Metro Mart, Fresh Time is right here.
Call the
There's
picket
Pete's
slave,
over
yes.
there. I do call it pick and slave because you can go in there and buy 5 items on sale and still end up spending like $60. I don't know, but you know, like I'm in a total opposite. Yet
We're
there's
in a
another part
food
of
desert.
town where it's nothing but food deserts. Why
And
is this still a problem?
we're in a food desert, and like our grocery stores down here, HEB is our biggest grocery store. And so there was one HEB here. Funny thing is, when I first moved into Houston, I ended up at this HEB and I was like, oh my God, this is like the most raggediest HEB ever. Like I would never be caught shopping here. And fast forward almost 10 years later, or at the time it was like 7 years later, where was I grocery shopping? Because that was the closest HEB to us. So then they built a new HEB, which is literally like not even, it's probably like a quarter of a mile from us. It's a beautiful HEB, of course, but but instead of keeping the other store open and accessible to those people in that area, they shut it down. So
What?
now, yes. So I mean, they could have left it open or like let somebody else come in or something. But now there's only one HEB that's closer to us, but it's further away for people on the bus line and people who live in apartments. And like you said, they don't have vehicles.
Well, that's strategic. You know, that's Sarah. That's
Oh,
strategic.
definitely. This
Of
area is
course.
getting gentrified like hardcore.
I live in a hella we were just and it sickens me, right? Because of course you love where you live, but you know, like it's just like housing. Why are we still? Why are we? But people love to tackle homelessness. How? Why do you have homes that you're just not abandoned buildings, or y'all dealing with these slumlords? Hold these people accountable. What is going on here? Like, what is really happening? Like,
Yeah.
why would you strip something away that you know that the community needs and make it that much harder for them
Because you're
to
pushing
get?
we could like I mean I make a decent living, but even then like we can't afford anything here. And if we can, it's like it would have to literally be a shell of a home that we would have to gut out and spend close to 200,000 in renovation. But they're building like knocking down these beautiful older homes and making townhomes. Like townhomes are just shooting up like crazy, and they start at least at 300,000.
Because they want that property value. When I went to visit London, like 4 years ago, 4 years ago, um, I was talking to some of the locals, and like a lot of the elders, they were driving them out
Mm-hmm.
because because London is very touristy. You know, you're getting everybody all over. Like we thankfully the flat that we stayed in for the Airbnb reminded me of the River West area that I'm surrounded by. You know, here in Milwaukee,
Okay.
it reminded me of home. So I could like walk in there's like a couple food joints, and if I need to get something here or whatever, because there was no way in hell I was gonna be in the downtown area of London, paying all that money for a hotel for a whole week in the midst of and congested. Like I'm a people person, but I do not like people like that. I need to be able to like detach. I'm a city girl, but I need to be able to like be 5 or 10 minutes away where I can just be like where I am, I'm
Sure,
close
just
enough.
breathe.
Yeah, you really do. And some people don't get that benefit. So what they're doing is they're driving them out with the home, like you said, tearing down the homes. This is their community. And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
nah, but if you want to generate more funds into this area, let's just put up this and this and this. And I remember doing a tour in Chicago for a class I was at in Parkside, and I'm paraphrasing, but the guy said, you know that you're in the beginnings of gentrification when you see a Starbucks. And you know you've reached the end or the completion of gentrification when you see like a sushi bar. Because it's like very, trendy and what are
Yeah.
the, like, and that's just it. Like, where you're paying a whole bunch of money for like a meal this size,
I don't have a sushi bar
because,
yet, but I'm sure it's coming.
right. Like, because you get slandered for getting a cheeseburger that costs you $2, but you're killing yourself. But that's all I can afford. Would you rather me die of hunger? I'm gonna get fat. So if I leave this world, when I leave this earth, because at some point I have to, just know I ain't leave hungry. I didn't leave hungry. I didn't leave hungry. So say what
Mm-hmm.
you want. When you gotta pick and choose what you need for your life, you got families out here, like you said, choosing if they're gonna pay a bill or if they're gonna eat.
Or they eat, yeah. It's sad. Like our neighbor, our next door, because we live in a duplex, but like there's a lot of duplexes in the area. And so, but our next door neighbor, they've been here since almost 40 years, I guess, now. And so I know that it's been a constant battle for them, just seeing the neighborhood change the way it has. I mean, and change can be good when it's done correctly and not like to help the people in the neighborhood and not to drive them out and bring in other people. But and I sit on we don't have an HOA, but we have a civic club. And so I sit on the board of that. And so it's always interesting to see like residents' comments and concerns and things of that nature that who have recently moved. I mean, we've only been here 3 years. Neither one of us is from Third Ward. But it's a predominantly, it used to be a Jewish neighborhood, but now it's a predominantly African-American community.
Okay.
And so there's like a lot of rich culture and history here, but it's not always appreciated by people who move in. And so they're wanting to change the dynamics of it. But I'm like, if you're moving into a place, like it's like you have to adjust to whatever area you're moving into. You can't, it's like you're not going to go into a Target and try to force a Target to become like a Macy's or vice versa. It is what it is. I mean, you're the one who's making that choice to move in. So it's sad to see. And it's not just in this neighborhood. There's also across one of the freeways from us, there's the East End, which is a predominantly Hispanic community, and they're also having to deal with the same issue.
And I think it's this weird assumption where, like, okay, it's this weird assumption that with a lot of neighborhoods, that Black people who own houses and things, they're not involved. They don't really communicate their issues to the city or the board, city council. And there might be some things to it where people might have to be more involved. But I think what the nuance to that whole thing is not like the city or the people around have gone to those people to ask and find out what can they do to improve those areas. It's weird because, I don't, there are places where somebody might drive around in a certain white neighborhood and they just look at it like, man, this place is missing something. And they'll just get it, right? Compared to here, it's like you have to go and beg and plead to say, hey, we need a better grocery store. We need access to a better bank. Why is more money not going to this school that's holding over, 1,200 to 2,000 kids? It's always interesting how the narrative change where people assume that we're just not doing good enough. And don't get me wrong, it should be better, but it's not like those people have made it comfortable for those people to feel comfortable to go to those people to request those things. Because I can imagine the last 40 years when they do that, they've been ignored or they looked at like, well, you have to do this and do this and do this and do this in order for us to do this. It's the equivalent of when you make a mistake in your bank and you overdraft, your bank calling you trying to have you replace the money. But when a bank messes up with your money, you got to do a 12-page essay and some type of evidence to show that they messed up.
Or like you say, 3 to 10 business days. It didn't take you 3 to 10 business days to take my money.
Yeah.
I'm gonna need you. It took you 3 to 10 3 minutes, 3 seconds. So for that transaction, work your magic. Don't play with my face. Do not play in my face. Or Ramone, they took around, they don't even ask the community what they actually need.
Nope.
They just like, this is what you need, and I'm gonna throw you some bones so y'all can just shut up. Like we gave you a park. That's not what we asked for. Like, what did you, like, you gave us a plot of land with a bunk ass jungle gym or something. No, that's not like my child. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you didn't ask us what we needed. You didn't, like, you got this school in the district, but the resources in the school are only going to keep our young people below the whatever the curve or the average is. Y'all not preparing them for they can't function. Half of them haven't eaten, but y'all not seeing that. Y'all just think that it's just they're being disruptive. Like, we need to get to the heart of the matter. That's a whole nother. Trust me, when you decide to have conversations about these, I'll be more than welcome to talk, about it. Because if I go there, we'll be on this call for forever, and it ain't that deep. But like, it's because for those of us who care, you can't help but
It's
you
kind of like
can't
when they
just
closed
focus on
down.
one thing.
It's kind of like when they closed down 38th Street School randomly. When I lived in Milwaukee, I come back like, damn, 38th Street School. It's like the closest school after that was like Clark Street. Like I live, so 39th and Center. If you live on 39th and Center, I'm trying to think of other elementary schools around. The closest one is on 21st Center, and that's Clark Street.
Oh
I think
yeah,
it's one up. Like it's certain things like that where it's in. That's why the whole idea of pick yourself up from your bootstraps, or people, or the worst people who live in Waukesha got strong opinions about people that live in Milwaukee and what they should do. Same thing here. You live in the middle of Montgomery County, Conroe, and you mad at what the Houston mayor is talking about and what they should do. Like, and they actually listen and do that shit. It's like, that's kind of trash. You're not even thinking about this place. But well, thank you, Britt. Thank you, Sarah. I know it was a little bit more heaviness than lightness, but I'm glad that we've been able to just kind of exchange and just massage a little bit. It's been some time. I'm looking for trying to do some more consistency. I'm trying to do something with the some small business owners. Hopefully next week. I have a friend that's working with. He works for Northwest Mutual.
Okay.
And he wants to do. He asked me, did I want to do something, because he has a partner he works with that they want to do something based around finances and mixed in with mental health, especially during quarantine. They're financial advisors and things like that, and I think they really want to, talk about those things, because they've had clients, and especially when COVID hit, a lot of people was concerned about what their money, if they had money saved up, or what was next, or what should I do. And I think that played a huge role, and I think that'd be something dope for people to kind of check out and see. And but I really, like you and Billy always come in the clutch. You know what I'm saying? And I don't try to take advantage. I know I hit y'all last minute. I was kind of thinking today, I'm like, I'm gonna hit them up. People say no, then I'm gonna just jump on. And people say, yeah, let's get it in. And so I really do appreciate y'all. And Sarah, thank you for tagging along. I know you're in the next room. You know what I'm saying? Holla at your boy. You can hear me? No, anyway. So but yeah, I appreciate that, because all of this, y'all, it's been I'm glad to be surrounded by dope people and dope minds, and it's refreshing to kind of just hear what's on their mind and their perspective, and their view on certain things, because it's much needed for all of us. I think we can take something away what someone said, or Britt, you might not feel alone now that the things that Sarah cry over, which I'm not saying is everything, but it's almost that you're like, man, I'm not alone when I feel this way about this, and vice versa. You know what I'm saying? So yeah,
it was really great having being able to talk to you, Sarah. I'm glad that you were able to be on today. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I guess. All right.
Wow.
I finally got the invite, because
Hey, look. See, this is where it's not fair, right? You know what I'm saying? Because, all right, I ain't saying she right. I'm just saying, like, I really had other people do some stuff. We did do a podcast episode together about a year ago, and I was trying to do it again.
A year ago.
Yeah, I got all
Thank
the
you.
excuses. And she was working. She been busy, and I didn't think no, I'm coming with all the excuses. She said she had a headache. No, but I thank y'all.
It's nice meeting you, Britt.
Nice meeting you too. Have a good one, guys.
You
Thanks for
too.
coming.
Good night.
Holla.